being recorded.
Alrighty, so today's print marketing, and we're going to cover a couple of things. We're going to start off with where your marketing feeds your information from. So we're going to start in your marketing profile, but we'll go into a flyer. We'll show you how that's connected to the MLS. So if you have an open house coming up or an event that you wanted to create a flyer for, we'll show you how you can potentially start one of those. The templates are interchangeable, so you'll be able to edit and choose and delete and things like that from the template perspective. And then I'll also show you where the listing presentations are. There are a couple listing presentation options in here. I just don't recommend using the listing presentations in their entirety. And what I mean with that is, I don't think any seller wants to see an 18-page document, if that makes sense, before you have a listing presentation or a listing appointment. I think that if you were to take the listing, any listing presentation, I'll actually show you some of the Michael Lewis marketing ones too. They're a little bit more modern and more attractive in my opinion. However, you can, kind of cut a little bit from each and make your own. I would say I wouldn't make a listing presentation any longer than 5 to 8 pages.
Okay.
And that would include the pages from your CMA. So you want to, of course, include that in covering, that part of it. And some agents do like to do like a pre-appointment. So sometimes it's just, here is how I'm going to market your product. And they don't really go into specifics on price because they kind of want to get the seller's feel on how serious they are about selling. Some agents like to include it in both. So there's no wrong or right way on how you want to do it. All right. So the next step here is we're going to go to your marketing profile. So I'm going to cover it from the basics perspective, but of course you may or may not already know this. So when you go over to your name, you're going to click on your settings section. You are in coaching, correct?
Yes.
So you do have a coaching profile. This will affect only your personal profile. So when you send out any marketing materials or you're printing out anything, it's going to feed from your personal anyways. So no worries or confusion on personal versus coaching.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to go to settings. And it's going to load in. They've been changing some things around in Command. I don't know if you've been in here recently. They're updating some and adding some features to the desktop website as well as to the mobile app. So there'll be new features. Of course, this weekend is our big convention in Anaheim. And so they'll have a ton of features. I'm assuming that they're going to roll out this weekend as well.
You know what, Eric? Well, this just triggered something. I'm looking at your screen. The dot loop, I want to look at mine before we get off the call. I have a listing currently that's under contract, but I had another KW agent from a different office submit me an offer over the weekend, and he said he sent it through dot loop and I never got it. And it's because my email address in there is incorrect.
In dot loop?
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. Or maybe,
So we'll definitely look at we'll let you share your screen and maybe you can share a little bit more on that. Because it's good that you brought this up. So I have dotloop connected here because at one point dotloop was offered from our office. Dotloop is no longer offered. So if you can chew an email from dotloop, it wouldn't. If the email is incorrect, you should still you should have received it in your inbox if the email was typed incorrectly. Now, if the person sending it typed in the incorrect email, then you're of course never going to receive it.
Right. So yeah, I mean, could I have just as easily said to him, "Can you send it through DocuSign instead?"
Well. Yes, 100%. So if he has them in dotloop, all he needs to do is download them and attach them like a regular email. Because dotloop does have the option within its settings, but it's a little bit confusing. I'm not sure. Depending on the agent, they might have added you to their dotloop versus actually sending you the email, which is probably what's causing the confusion. But we can definitely look at it.
Okay.
So since we're in the settings here, we're going to click over to connect settings and your marketing profile. Have you been in here at all?
Probably at one point in time, but it's been a while.
Correct. So any information that you want to correct on the website, on your marketing materials, or even on your app, you can go ahead and correct here. One could change here. The changes will be reflected on any of your marketing pieces as well as your website.
Okay.
So in theory, since we are going to be messing with print marketing, all the fields that are preloaded are going to be fed from this section, which is why I'm here. So for instance, just make sure your email address is correct, your phone number is correct, and everything on here makes sense. The picture you want to share with folks is the one you want to see here. because this is pretty much where it's going to pre-populate all that information from.
Okay.
Okay, and when you make any changes on here, you can of course add your social media or any designations you may have. Just make sure you hit save at the bottom because that'll just ensure to save your changes.
Okay.
All right, so now we're going to go over to the left and you can hit the KWS and your menu. I'm going to go down to designs.
Okay.
Under designs, you're going to have a couple different options, of course. Any template you have worked on in the past will show up here. So you have your social pieces, anything that you worked on from an email perspective will be here. And of course, your print marketing. This is one of the old listing presentations that I had worked on. If we have time, I'll open up one just to kind of show you the feel of it. It is a little temperamental, so you have to just kind of, don't be afraid that you're going to break anything because you can't. So don't be afraid to just go in there and mess around with it because that's the only way you're going to kind of get used to the platform.
Okay.
Since I'm here, I'll mention that you can also import designs from other platforms such as Canva or MailChimp, whatever other platform you use. So if you have other ones that you want to import over, you can import those and still send them through command.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and click on create designs, and that's going to give me a couple of different options. You have email marketing, social, print, and videos. This video one is basically you plug in a zip code and you can, it'll give you a video of that zip code. So by video, I mean the activity. How many active properties, how many have sold, days on market, average price per square footage. It's a really cute animation. If you wanted to use that in any of your marketing or even a text message that you send out, it's really effective because it's like under a minute. And it will give someone an update on their neighborhood. And it's almost like clip art, if you ever seen anything like that.
Right.
So it has like a little moving truck that moves through the fake city while it's kind of working its way through all the information.
Okay, cool.
Before I continue, these two sections here are connected to the MLS. So what that means is if you're working on a social template or a print template, it's going to preload information from the MLS like photos, descriptions, and property information. So it's a little bit easier instead of you having to go back and forth. So since today's agenda is print marketing, I'm going to go ahead and click on print marketing, and I'm going to go ahead and click continue. I did check off for import of photos from the MLS, just to double check to make sure. If you have active listings, you said you had one that was going to go under contract soon, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
It is under contract, yeah.
Perfect. So if your properties will show up here, I believe they will still show up if they're not, even if they're not active, it'll show all your listings. So of course, if you go only line, it'll show your listings here. Of course, these are ones that I've had in the past from when I was selling stuff, but so it should also show your current one there. In this case, I guess I could use one of these, but I'm going to go ahead and just do all listings and just search for one in our building just to kind of make sure that it's an active listing. Because since the MLS is marked that as sold, it can cause, a little bit of problems in the system because technically you wouldn't create a flyer for a property that's been sold, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So it can get a little temperamental. So let's see, East Kennedy Boulevard. And let's see if I can get a listing in our area here. All right, perfect. So let's just go ahead and let's see. So we got 10. Let's see. Type in the rest of the address here. All right, that's a little bit more like the price range. So I'm going to select any of these that's active, and then we're going to go from there. It doesn't really matter which one. Of course, if you're working with one of yours, it makes more sense. But we're going to go ahead and select that one, and then it's loading. As you notice, I am in Chrome Incognito when it comes to creating anything with templates. It is super imperative to use Chrome, and if you are able to use Incognito, just work better for you.
Okay.
Welcome to your, it'll walk you through all the steps if you kind of want like a little widget. I'm just going to skip this for now because we're going to go through a couple options here. There is a tutorial if you ever wanted to come back and do that. There are templates here that we're going to use. However, under assets is where you can preload things. And by preload things, I mean like your photo, your logo that you're using, all those kind of things you're going to use multiple times. Anything you put under assets will just be available on all the pieces you work on.
Okay.
All right, so then of course there are things here like images that you can upload your headshot. Text, you can preload text. Like if you wanted to use a certain font or things like that, this is where all the text is going to feed from. And then of course there are different versions. So depending on what you're working on, from mobile versions to computer versions to print versions, of course. The logos should preload with our logos here. You should have access to at least one of the Tampa Central ones. You can, of course, upload your own here. So if you click upload, it's like uploading from anywhere else. You can browse from your computer or from any other provider that has a cloud service. So Google, Dropbox, all those vendors. And then of course, elements are where you can add shapes. So if you're doing specific cutouts or things like that on flyers, if you wanted to do a certain thing, you can upload certain people like when the flyers have like different cutouts. It's a preference thing. As you can tell, I have not used this section here. However, you can use it if that's if that's what you like to do. And then of course, there are some pieces, we're gonna do a print piece today, so we're not gonna use a video as an example, but if you're using a social piece or something like that, you can add a YouTube video link. And that tends to work best. So anything, whether it's a video of a listing you have or something like that, always upload it to your YouTube channel, and you can make it where it's not viewable to public if you don't want people to like comment on it, and you can still use the link for your marketing, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And then file assets is where you can just upload files and things like that from like that you would use in marketing. I don't have an example right now at the top of my head, but probably other flyers or things like that, because it's just a section to upload files for that specific. So that's your assets, and that's how you would use that. Of course, the My Design section is where any other piece that you have worked on, not just print, will be here. Again, all the social piece, anything like that. So anything you've worked on in the past will be here, any postcards and things like that. As you can see, mine go back a couple years. And then you have your images, which is where you're going to, they have some stock images that you can use in your marketing as well. So if you're using seasonal pieces, this is where they have a lot of holiday pieces and things like that, or just seasons from the actual weather. So fall, spring, summer, they have a couple things you can use and search for here. And then we reach the templates. So under templates, you can, of course, go under specific categories. I'm just going to click under listing just because it's the easiest one to use.
Okay.
But of course, you can do any categories, and these are just basic flyers. You have coming soon, for sale, just listed, just sold, listing presentations. When you're in here and you're in the flyer, you can select, of course, any flyer you want. Let's go ahead and do a for sale one. And let's go ahead and select one here. You can add more than the images that are shown here. I always tell agents, don't try to tweak it too much, because then you get caught up on the details and it takes you more time than you really need on a flyer. The flyers are pretty straightforward. Even if you're on Canva or any other platform, just don't get too crazy with the super minute details unless that's something you love to do. I wouldn't do that, but again, it tends to kind of get you consumed into that dark place when it comes to changing too many things.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm going to go ahead and click used here for this one. I just picked a random one. You can use any one you want. And again, you're going to have a couple of different options here. So it's going to preload just KW information, of course, and we're going to change some things around. So of course, you're going to want this and click here. If you click here, it'll let you change the information if you wanted to say something else besides just for sale. Of course, you're going to update your information here when it comes to square footage and bedrooms and all that good stuff, and then your photo. So if I click on this photo here, I can then click on images here, and that's where my asset section I covered earlier comes into play. So I can go to my asset section, and then your photo will pop up. So you can of course click and drag this stuff. If you're great with a mouse, that's the way I would do it. However, these are all little boxes that are all perfectly placed. And they are temperamental. Like if you're not really good at a mouse, then it's going to be your worst enemy, right? So you can, of course, zoom in here, kind of work a little bit closer, whatever works best for you. But again, if you can click on the photo and you can actually go up here and hit refresh, it should replace it without you having to perfectly try to center that piece there. Right, so now I've updated my photo. Of course, you can update your name here. If you click and highlight it, it'll let you kind of put your cursor in there, and then you can change the name. So I'll put my name in there. All right, and then of course you can update the rest of the information on there as well.
Yeah.
And there are options up here, like any other platform. You can change the text, you can change the color, bold, underline, you can add other things, bullet point list, anything you do. They have a ton of options in here that you can do. And then when you go back to the photos, you can click here and we can go down to KWLS. And this is where we're going to, let's see here. So search by address. It should have preloaded the property that we already selected, but it did not do that. So let's see if I can at least search. So here we go. We got a couple different properties here. Let's see. Here's one in our building. You can select this, and then it should give you all the photos that you have to pick from that specific listing.
Okay.
I'm sorry?
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome.
Correct. So then again, going back to my point about the mouse thing, I am pretty good with my mouse on my computer, but I know a lot of people have like an extra mouse because they hate the one that came with their computer. So it depends. Again, I would just click on here and then you can come over here and refresh the photo. So if we're gonna choose a front photo, let's go ahead and choose one of the main building. So we replace that. And then we'll replace this with a kitchen photo of this one here. And let's see, this is one. So we replace that. And then you can tweak it. You can zoom in the photos if you want and things like that. So of course you can definitely customize it. I just tell people not to get too lost in, you know, the custom piece, because then it'll take you an hour to make one flyer and, you know, you'll give up halfway through. So we're going to change that photo to that. And of course you change this information here to relevant to the space, right? So you would talk about building or talk about the amenities, whatever you want to talk about there, you can do that. So there's that. And then of course the details, you can also add these details here to those sections here. So if you wanted to replace something such as the property address up here, you would just click there and we can go ahead and insert the address. So in theory, I just hit refresh and it changed it up. So instead of me having, again, go in there and type it out, I can just click the replace button, which is super convenient.
Yeah.
So we do that. And let's see here, is the price anywhere on this paper? All right, the price is right here. So let's see if I can replace it with something that makes sense. It may not make sense for the way that it's originally laid out, but you can of course go in there and tweak it. So the price is here, current price, original price. If I replace that, let's just see what it does. So of course it'll do that. Let's say you do something by mistake, it does have an undo that you can do up here. And it will automatically save if you have auto save on. So no worries about losing your work. So just because it seems to be a little bit crazy, I'm just going to go ahead and manually update this one just because of the way that they laid out the information. It's not matching up. So we're going to say that. Give me square footage anywhere. Square footage is 615. And then it should be it's a 1-1. So it's a 1 bath, 1 bedroom. So that's been updated. You can, of course, make this bigger font if you want. You know, there's all sorts of things you can do to kind of check, right, to kind of make it your own. I'm going to update our logo here. I'm going to go back to my, of course, it'll have pre-lit logos here for you to use. But again, under my assets, you should have at least one of our KW ones that you can preload. I don't really like that one, so let's use the white one. That looks better, but now the KW is kind of weird. Go to workspace and let's go to KW here. And here are some, this isn't our logo. I'm just going to use one of these for sake of time. But of course, if I was doing this, I'd probably upload our logo that's all white. And I can actually do that now since we're not pressed for time. Let me go ahead and see it. Just right click here. It'll say cut, copy here. I think I have it saved on my desktop. So bear with me. I'm just going to see if I can just drop it in. I think you can just drop it in this section and it should take it. And it'll just give you an idea how to use that section. So again, I'm just looking for the logo, our logo that's all in white. Hopefully I'll find it. Black and white, okay. So this one should be the logo there. Can I upload a logo? Let's Images. Oh, here, add. So I'm gonna go under the here, and it should have let me add it. Here we go. So I'm gonna go here, and I don't think I can add it there. Let me see if I can add it just under photos. I'm just going to my desktop where I have it saved. Current issues. It's uploading. Perfect. There's that. So I'm going to scroll down here and just try to replace this one. Go to photos, because that's where I had it. Oh, there it is. I just made it bigger. I did it that way because I didn't upload it under logos, but I'm going to delete that one and I'm just going to bring that one down.
Okay.
We do have one that's black and white. I can't find it right now. That's black and white. It has no background, so it would just be white on that, which would look a lot better in my opinion. But that's how you would change things and kind of tweak things like that. So any questions?
No.
Pretty straightforward. So let's say you wanted to download this because you're going to print it here, or you have a printer at home you want to use. You can literally just go here and click download, and you're going to just hit, you can download it. If you're going to use it on social media, you need a JPEG or a PNG. If you're just going to download it for printing, then of course it's a PDF will be fine. So you do PDF, and then always include the bleed, because it'll just make sure your lines are all nice and the edges will be included. But then you would just download it, and then you would use it for whatever you want.
Okay.
Okay. So that's that. Let's see here. Cancel that. And then of course you can order prints on here. I've only had one or two agents who had it was more of like a flyer. It had 2 pages, like almost like a book, that they ordered prints from here. So if it's something else that you kind of want to order, a little bit more professional, in my opinion, if you get a good quality paper, even from Amazon, and you print it here, it looks great. And the prints are super inexpensive. But if you wanted to order something for whatever reason, maybe it was a special event or something like that, then of course order things. You can order, shiny or unshiny paper, and then it gives you a total here of how many you want. You can order from 1 copy, which is great, right? Maybe you have an event that, for something, a hobby or something that you have, or a church event or something like that, and you can order, from 1 to whatever many copies. Sometimes a lot of the other places, unfortunately, have like 100 copy minimum, which sucks. So you can, of course, order a couple copies and it'll give you the price from there. So you can order and then review your order and then just check out as you would in any other website.
Okay.
Cool. So I'm going to close this out. I'm going to save my work. I always hit save even though it says auto. Printing at home, and now I have saved my flyer and I can print it, download it, and all that good stuff. So I am going to show you the listing presentation just because we have some time here. But I wanted to show you the Michael Lewis marketing ones just because they're just as good as the one in Command. So they're really good. It just depends on your preference. And what I do like about the ones that are on Michael Lewis is that they are PowerPoints. So if you've ever dealt with a PowerPoint before, they're super easy to edit, and you can just tweak it real quick versus having to log on and go through that section. And it's a couple more steps. So in my opinion, just saving a couple steps is priceless.
Yeah.
So let me just go in here. And have you been to the Michael Lewis marketing yet?
No.
So yeah, I'll take some time to show. And that's all print marketing as well. Let me just Michael Lewis marketing. So Michael Lewis marketing is something that the office pays for to give you, so you guys have access for it. We do have a free version and a paid version of this site. So, and what I mean with paid is you can pay someone to do it for you. If that's what you want to do, great. If not, you can do it yourself. So there's 2 options on there. I'm just snagging my login here. For some reason, it's not remembering my login. So I'm going to go here and just copy it over. Michael Lewis. So let's log in here real quick. This one's probably the one you're going to like the most, just because the pieces are super modern and they look really crisp, in my opinion. Not that the Command ones don't look as good, but the modern appeal that they put on these almost looks like you just got it done like super recent versus, an older flyer.
Right. Okay.
So here are your options. It goes from business cards to door hangers to flyers, postcards, brochures, um, social things you can do as well. And then they have a free section here. And what they mean with free is just things that you can download and print. You can print flyers here for free. So if I click on flyers, you can order them to get sent to you too. However, like I said, the office does pay for this membership. So you'll be able to order flyers and just download them without having to pay. But if you order
Okay.
like postcards or door hangers, then those you'd have to pay at least $12 for the one copy, and then you can do whatever you'd like from there. But as you can see here, these are the flyers, and you can see how they look a lot, just the modern of them.
Yeah.
But the pictures that they require have to be really good in the sense of the right angles and high resolution, because it's pretty much the entire flyer is that picture.
Yeah.
They
I
have
see.
different
Yeah.
series here. Yep. They have like the red series, the slate series. They have a ton of different options. And of course, you can pick whichever one you want. But here you go. So you can have an idea. Of course, they are showing these beautiful homes on these flyers. But if, in my opinion, if you take a good picture, you can use these flyers with any property. So that's what those look like. And when you go to edit them, it works exactly the same, except you're going to be uploading the photos and the information from your computer versus in Command. If you remember, we were kind of connected to the MLS and it was kind of just feeding it over. So that's the only
Okay.
difference. Since we're in here, let me just click on free stuff. They have things like email signatures you can add to your email, and they also have listing presentations and buyer consultations. So the listing presentations are, again, they're PowerPoints or pages, depending on if you're on a Mac or Windows. And then they also have buyer consultations here.
Okay.
And they also have the email signatures are here. And if you are interested in their archived ones, these are all the ones they used to have from a listing presentation and buyer consultation. Right?
Nice. Okay.
I'll show you what these look like. Let me just share my screen and open that up for you real quick. So I have it saved on my computer because, again, it's like a PDF, or I'm sorry, it's a PowerPoint. Let me just open that listing consultation and we'll just open up this here. So that's opening up. I'm just waiting for that, and then I'll share my screen so you can see that as well. Keynote, where are you? There we go. So hopefully you can see. Here you go. Hopefully you can see both of those now. So this is the website we were on, and then right behind it is your PowerPoint.
Got you. Okay. Yep. I see it.
I'm on Mac, so it's on Keynote, but same premise. It's just like PowerPoint. You're going to edit each individual slide. And again, this sucker is 11, 12 pages. I don't recommend it being that long because you're going to lose their attention, by that point at page 12,
Yeah.
right? However, you can see how this looks. To me, it's crisp and clean, and it attracts the eye, right? And again, you can replace the pictures in the background. You can replace the individual pictures here in the circles and update the information. It also gives you an idea of what you should be discussing in the listing appointment from an agenda perspective. And you can kind of tweak it and make it your own. So that's this one here. And then we'll go back to Command and we'll go to templates. And then if you go under listing, they have listing presentations here. They don't have as many, they have a couple here, but these are all the same premise. You're going to click use, and then you can tweak the pages and select how many pages you're going to be using, which is great. But it works exactly how it did during the flyer, right? So you can click on here, you can add your photo, you can change the fonts and things like that. Of course, if you're going to use this, you would take the template part off and maybe add the address to the first one. But you have pages here. So this one's 29 pages long, which is what I meant from the beginning. Too long. But you're only going to pick a couple pages and kind of present your marketing plan. And this is where you can, of course, upload the photos. KWLS is here, so you have an active one. Or if the property's been active before, right? If they're reselling the property, if it's been on the market before, you can search here and still use photos just for your listing presentation, because You wouldn't have photos yet because you're kind of
Right.
pre-listing it, hopefully. And then of course the pages go on and on. There's a page here that talks about you as the agent, maybe there, other houses that are in the area. And this is more like a CMA built into your listing presentation. The one that I showed you before, this isn't a CMA. This is just the marketing strategy and more of you versus the property. But if you go here, page 2 on all the templates is instructions for the agent. So just make sure that if you go in here and you select one of these, you can actually just read. It tells you, it's like instructions on what to do. And then you can actually just delete it, right? You can click here and then delete if you were going to use the rest of the pages. And since these templates are, you can edit the templates, I would just delete all the pages you're not using and only leave the page that you're going to keep. But you can go through here, you can put the client name, you can change your photo, right? We did that by going to My Assets, and it works the same way. You're just gonna hit replace and it should replace the photo. Oh, I think I didn't do that right. There we go. So now I can delete that one and then it just replace my photo without me having to center it and all that good stuff. You're gonna add the office logo on here. So of course you're gonna customize this to your liking and to your information, your property and the timeline and things like that. So it's gonna go through everything that you have there, and then you can just keep going from there. This one, again, if you wanted to order it from them because you feel like you're going to get a good quality print and you're going to do that, you can also order it from them. I would probably order a listing presentation over a flyer, to be honest, but you can order things like that from them and go from there. You also have the option to download it and then print it off here at the office, which most agents do, 90% of them, if they even have one, would do it here at the office. And you can turn this into a JPEG or a PNG because then you can use it on an iPad.
Okay.
And then of course you can delete the pages you don't want and then go from there. That is my agenda, right, that I had to cover. Did you have any questions?
No, not on this, but you triggered me with something else. Client testimonial. Where, because this property is going to close in mid-March, and of course I'm going to ask for a good review. Where should I tell her to do that?
So I have agents who will send them like a SurveyMonkey, or if you have your Google business set up, they would send them the Google link to review you on Google, and then from there you can then copy it in other platforms. So if you don't have that done, you should at least have your Zillow agent profile set up already. You've been on Zillow and created your agent profile. Have them at least do it there, because then you can snag it from there and take it to multiple places. So don't overstress it. Just as long as it's somewhere they can go on a website that it can be tracked. And what I mean by is the general public can look it up and see that it was someone that did it, not just you. That's what I worry about, right? Making sure that people can tell that it's a legit review. Once they do it, like on Zillow, for instance, and I hate going to Zillow because I hate them, but people know Zillow. Once they go on Zillow and you can snag it from there, or Google, then you can use it for social media or any other platforms.
Okay. Yep. That makes sense. And then, and then I can import that into Command as well.
Correct. So Command does have a platform where you can add it to your website. And once you're at that point, let me know and I can add it on there for a couple seconds. But it does have a place where you can at least add it to your website, and we can start that page for you.
So my listing should technically be on my website now, right?
Give me one moment. I'm actually going to stop recording and then we'll go to your website.
Okay.